the day Ken got shot, I was off when Clint got shot, but when Ken got shot, I was at work, and then everything was a blur after they said it was Ken. I don't remember anything else.
Well, there was a guy in the bathroom. But when she walked out, she pulled the door too. And Steve never opened the door to see if anybody's in there. If he did, he probably would have been shot right between the eyes. And so as Steve is walking back across the room, that guy came out and just started firing.
Welcome back, viewers, watchers, listeners. I'm your host, Tyler Owen. As you can see, this is the first time the Blue Grit Podcast has ever had 6 people in one room. For those that don't know and think that this is a large room, it is not. Kevin Lawrence and then president, when this thing was built, put us in a broom closet. And so today it's not working out too well, but we have an awesome episode up today. The Gardner family, the pedigree of law enforcement family there in East Texas, all with Tyler Police Department, and our very own president, El Presidente, Ken Gardner.
Hello, Tyler. How are you?
Good, man. What's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot. Came down late last night, got up early this morning, and here we are.
Yeah, it's not a, I wouldn't say it's a decent, pretty drive, but man, it's long if you come the back way down 31 and all. Is that how y'all came?
No, we did not. I think we came through Buffalo and Franklin and came that way from Tyler.
Well, we have been trying to plan this episode probably for a year to discuss this remarkable story. It's kind of unique, and you'll completely understand whenever we dive off into it. But why don't you again show your brothers, and then we're going to talk a little bit history.
Me intro all of?
Yes.
Huh? Well, first of all, my name's Kenneth Gardner. I work at Tyler PD. I've been there 28 years. This year will be my 29th. How about I let them introduce?
Yeah, that's
How
fine.
about that?
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll go. You have to speak into that.
I'm Darrell Gardner. I've been with Tyler PD for 28 years as well.
Wow.
I'm Vic Gardner. I was with the police department for 10 years, left in 07.
I'm Clint Gardner, with Tyler PD, and I've been there 30 years.
I'm Wendall Gardner. I worked for Tyler PD for 25 years, retired, and now I work for Tyler ISD in an elementary school.
As a SRO?
As an SRO. Love it.
I can't think. This probably is the only family that I know of that have 5 brothers that work. We just said this off camera, that work for an agency and survive at 1, but 2, not kill the police chief or one of y'all get canned. I mean, I'll just be honest, right? Who kicked off the law enforcement career and how did all this start?
That would be me. Actually, Darrell, when he was in high school, I think after he mentioned going to the highway patrol after he graduated at one point. I think he fell in love and they got married, and that changed. So I went to work for the Smith County Sheriff's Department in 92 and worked for them for 2.5 years. And then once I got certified, I switched over to Tyler PD.
What was there a reason for the change, or you just more money or
money? Yeah. And once I got certified with the county, I'd ride out. I was a certified deputy, but I wasn't on patrol just yet. I worked in the jail. So we rode, and there were only 2 of us covering the whole county at the time.
2? So for those that don't know, Smith County, I'll argue this all day long. Smith County, besides, I guess to the east of Kaufman County all the way to the Louisiana line and Harrison County, Smith County is very, very, very large. It's probably the largest county in East Texas, and it's the county seat for Tyler. Yes. And so I would guesstimate how many people probably live in Smith County at that time, well over 150,000.
Oh, yeah.
And easy, right? So you got 2 deputies that's covering an entire county that's probably approximately 1,000 square mile county. Is that accurate? Yeah, it's a very large county. So just to put things in perspective.
Yeah, so I was riding double with an officer down south, and of course they sent us all the way north, which took us like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't have backup, right there with me. So when I decided to go to Tyler PD, you had backup within a couple of minutes or less.
Right. Right.
That's the main reason I switched.
Well, I do know this, that, I am close to certain board members more than others. Ken Gardner and me have maintained a great relationship and great friendship, and I consider him a dear friend. And in saying that, I know that he's big on his faith, and he's big on his family. And it's very obvious to me when being around him and his family, and the interactions that I do have with him, that's number one priority. What was it like growing up in the Gardner house as kids? I'm sure there was a few scuffles here and there, a few fights. What was it like growing up in the Gardner house?
It was a blast. I was telling them, and they'll probably tell you the same thing. We never had a lot of money because Dad was a Baptist preacher and Mom was an accountant. We never had a lot of money, but we didn't know it.
Yeah,
right.
But we had our own basketball team right here. We would play till dark, and then we'd cut the lights on in the backyard and keep on playing. So they can speak for themselves, but it was we had the most fun, and didn't know we didn't have any money, but we had a blast.
Was there ever an interest, I guess, for y'all, like playing cops and robbers? I mean, was it kind of always in the back of y'all's mind, or as a joke as kids, or no?
No, we
Not
were
at all.
busy playing baseball or basketball or something else. We didn't really play cops and robbers.
Yeah, well, so obviously you guys graduated. You're now working for Smith County, and then going over to Tyler PD. Who was second in line to fall for the trick to start their career in law enforcement and jump forward with it?
Yes, it was me. Yeah, I started about three or 4 months after Clint at the Smith County Sheriff's Office, and like him, I got certified in 90. I started in 92, got certified in 94, and then switched over to Tyler PD in 96.
Did y'all work in the jail starting off?
We did.
That's
you
best experience
there.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I mean, to a certain degree, I think it should be mandatory in certain areas, because you learn how to communicate, learn how to interact with people, and there's a little sense of humbleness when you're walking into a tank full of violent criminals just by yourself.
Yeah, that, and you also, and I agree with you, and I tell people, what we ought to do is get a program with the Sheriff's Department when we get new hires. They work in the jail for 6 months. That way
It's not a bad idea. Yeah.
The jail does, because they're always shorthanded. But you also learn, like I said, you learn how to talk with them, but you learn their tricks.
Mm-hmm.
And when you learn them while they're in jail, because you know they're going to get back out.
Yeah.
And, you just learn their games. And so when I got out on the street, and Kenneth can probably say this, you knew them from the jail.
Right.
So when they try to lie to you, it's like, no, man, you were in the jail. So we.
Yeah. You get taken advantage of a lot when you hit the streets, and you're just so green. And especially with you guys, I'll be honest with you guys, I've got friends that had their parents were in some type of ministry, and y'all are not exposed to certain things that others would be. And so I guess you're kind of protected in a sense, And so you guys being cops, I'm sure there were certain moments where you kind of thought you could trust, or thought you could listen, or thought you could believe somebody of what they're telling you. And the fact is that they're trying to get over on you.
Oh yeah.
Didn't take long to figure their games out.
Right. No, for sure. Well, what were you guys thinking? You got two brothers now in law enforcement. You were like, man, that's a team or dream that I want to join or jump on, or how did that work?
I went in next in 97, started working the streets. And the advantage that I had is a lot of the guys that I was running into knew Clint and Kenneth and thought I was one of them. They didn't try to lie to me because they already thought I knew who they were.
That's awesome.
So it worked out well.
What was there ever a point early on in y'all's career that y'all were on calls together, or y'all
We had to ride together.
Yeah, man, all love together a lot.
just the double man?
Double man, yeah.
How would the complaint process work on that?
Just tell them you're Gardner.
Yeah.
And move, hey, look here. Hey, what's your name, Gardner?
Yeah,
And move on.
that's funny.
Let him have it. And then he's
I always
with the
said
sergeant.
if I didn't want to get caught on something, I'd sign Clint's name to paperwork.
That's good stuff. Well, you're the older brother. Were you
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest, and so did you just kind of say, "Well, again, I need to join the team now. All my family's in this deal, and jump in"? Or
Well, I was tired of doing what I was doing for a living. I'm a registered nurse, and I needed a change. Went home one day and told my wife, said, I think I'm going to change jobs. She said, are you going to go down there and work with your brothers? I said, I imagine I will. And that was 27 or 28 years ago.
wow. And then I guess that's what sparked you to jump in.
I was in there right after Darrell, and then Wendall was after me. So I had friends that worked in dispatch, and they told me to come apply, and the boys already worked there, so I applied and got on.
And we're going to dive off into this because both of Darrell and our Clint and Kenneth both have had a major incident happen on duty. What was it like being in a position these are your brothers. I mean, literally your brothers, right? Your blood. What was it like to send them to calls that were unknown? That has obviously a danger involved with it, but to send one of your loved ones into a situation that is very volatile and very dangerous.
Well, at work, you realize it, but you don't think about it because your job is to keep everybody safe and get everybody home at the end of the night. And so it really was just the job. The day Ken got shot, I was off when Clint got shot. But when Ken got shot, I was at work, and then everything was a blur after they said it was Ken. I don't remember anything else.
And you were dispatching. Can you talk about that incident that day?
Well, it was about, I guess, 6 o'clock, a little after 6, and the bike team came on, and they were over there in the apartment complex, and then they said shots fired and officer down, and everybody's in dispatch scrambling, trying to figure out what's going on, and everybody's on their way over there. And I'm like, where's Ken? Where's Ken? Nobody would say anything, and some lady turned around and looked at me, and she said, Ken's been shot. And at that time, it was over. I don't even remember leaving the police department. One of my friends worked at city court, and she showed up and picked me up and took me to the hospital. But I don't remember anything else after.
And this is obviously, I mean, there were cell phones, but they weren't like they are today. No. At what point did you feel obligated or the need to start notifying the brothers and start notifying the family?
I think they knew automatically.
I heard somebody. I was working a part-time job, and I heard it on the radio. And I met Ken. I was at the hospital before Kenneth got there.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the feeling that you're sitting in the squad car on an off-duty job, and your brother's just been shot. Talk about the emotions and feelings that will kind of go through your mind at that point.
Well, of course, you're worried, not knowing how bad it is, but you're just praying that everything's going to be all right. When I got there, it seemed like I waited 30 minutes for him to show up. And I was wondering what was taking the ambulance. They probably didn't take them that long, but that's the way it felt. And then see him come through the door, and we get him into the room, and I'm there with him. The doctor asked me to step out of the room for a minute. So I stepped out, and next thing I heard was Kenneth scream. At that point, I didn't know what was going on. But, the doctor was putting a chest tube in, I think, maybe feeling around inside to see if there was what kind of damage there was.
Yeah.
So when I went back in, he's like, that was a good sign. Him screaming like that was a good sign.
Right. At what point, and I go back to the family aspect again, you guys are very much close to your parents.
Yeah.
Talk about the moment where both of them walked in and you're having to explain everything from a cop's perspective and kind of dumb it down for a civilian.
I really don't even remember. I don't know how my mom and dad found out. Clint.
When they're called our
Yeah. What it was is I was actually on a call at our mall, and my wife and my oldest son, they were sitting out in the parking lot because I was just going to meet her because she's headed to her parents. I was going to, after I finished my call, I was going to fill up the truck for her so she could drive, to her parents. And I'm inside. I had another officer outside talking to a different subject, and he walks in. He says, "Hey, we got an officer down up north." He said, "You go, and I'll finish this call." So I jump in my car. Man, I burn out lights and sirens. So Renee calls me, says, "What's going on?" And I'm probably doing 80, 90 miles an hour, trying to get up there. And all of a sudden I hear on the radio, they said, "Who's hit?" And they hollered Gardner. So I knew it was Ken. And I told Renee, I said, "Kenneth's been shot." And I think she called mom and dad and told them what was happening. And I told her, I said, "I don't know." So I got up there. And when I got to the scene, man, the roads were blocked. I couldn't hardly get up there. So I just parked in the road, jumped out, get up there. They were putting him on a backboard. So he was laying on his side. And then he started saying he's spitting up blood or something. And so I rode in the ambulance with him to the hospital. And I don't remember them coming up to the hospital.
And you showed up on scene.
Oh, yes.
And then rode with him.
Right.
What was it like for you two to meet each other when they were pulling him out of the ambulance?
I don't remember Clint even being there. I really don't.
I tell you, it was a blur. I mean, I don't remember. I know they came in. I talked to them, but I don't remember everything else that went on after that because we were waiting for the doctor to come out and just tell us, "Hey, he's good."
My mother called my wife. We were shopping for, because because it was right before school, wasn't it? We were shopping for school clothes for my boys.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
I'd always told my boys, if I ever tell you to do something, don't ask why and just do it. And they were probably junior high school age. And I said, what is it? She handed me the phone and said, Kenneth's been shot. I don't know why I did, but I just going to get to the matter. I said, well, is he dead? And she said, no. They're taking him to medical center hospital. So I told the boys, put that down. They just dropped their clothes, went out, got in the car and went up. And I don't remember y'all being there. I stayed the night up by his room, but I don't remember you guys.
Well, and here's kind of an interesting factor for those that are in law enforcement that watch this podcast. You're well aware that at times when legal matters happen, we've always got family members that give us a call. Let me run this by you because I don't, and you have to dumb down the law enforcement side. You being a prior nurse and having the medical experience, I'm sure that you were probably the liaison of explaining kind of the medical procedures and medical process. What was that like to tell, your parents, and this is going to be a long road to recovery?
Oh, I really don't remember. I know they had questions about it. I understood what was happening. I frankly don't recall.
Yeah. Were there ever the times where all five of y'all were in the same room during your recovery process, just alone, or after that, where y'all basically had a discussion of, is this career or job worth it?
Oh no, that was never a question. That was never a question. I can't even remember, how long it was after the shooting that I was able to talk and know what was going on. I think
Right.
I was out of it for a week or so. But no, I don't think that was ever a question for anybody here because we'd already gone through it once. If you're Clint got shot before I did.
Oh, I thought yours was before his.
No.
Well, let's go back to that then. Talk about that day. Talk about what all transpired and how it led up to that.
I'm trying to get you in the picture.
And
Yeah.
Hey, let's not get in a fight on
Yeah.
Mine was September 25th of 1997. Been on the street a little over 2 years. Got called. I'll tell you, let me go ahead and build up to it because I worked a part-time job that day, and that's the first day I never wore my vest to my part-time job. I always wore my vest, and I did security for a bank. And the officer I was working with, he's a supervisor now, Sergeant Saxon. He's like, Clint, banks get robbed.
Well, and I'm going to tell you this. I'm not to cut you off, but this is 97.
97.
The officers that are 21, 28 years old that work right now, or the listener out there that you have no idea. One, how lucky this next generation of law enforcement is for their Kevlar vest, because the shit we wore back in the 90s or early 2000s was not near as comfortable as what they had then.
You're right.
I mean, the turtle shell literally was what it felt like.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
You couldn't bend in it, and that's why I didn't wear it.
That's right.
Because it wasn't flexible, and I worked the bank, so I had older ladies online. You'd have to go get coin. What was on the ground? So you had to try to bend over and grab it. So I didn't wear it to the bank, but I always put it on before I went on patrol. And so I'm on patrol that evening. I decided to meet my wife at my mother's house to eat dinner. Well, my wife and my mother get on to me. It's like, hey, you can get shot at the bank. So I'm like, yeah, I'll never work another part-time job without it. So that was around 8 or 9. And so I go back out on the street. I back up a guy on a call. And then they were asking for another unit to go to a second call. And so I volunteered to take it because the guy that was dispatched hadn't had dinner. So I took his spot. And it was at first it came out as molesting, possible child molesting at a hotel. And so I meet the other officer up there. And when we get there, the lady says, well, I think they're selling dope in the room. Because you could hear through the walls, hey, cut this, measure this. And that's what they could hear. And it's like, okay, so me and Officer Reisinger go to the door. And it's the front of it's a door, but then it's an older hotel. So the other part of the wall is just glass.
Right.
So there's no wall. So we take up a tactical stance behind, away from the window. And when we knock on the door, you can see a guy on the very far end of the window open it up. And he looks, and I remember he had glasses, and you could tell he had long stringy hair. And I said, hey, Steve, somebody's looking out the window.
This is a motel, just for clarification.
Yeah, a little old motel.
I mean, the typical kind where the AC unit's right underneath the double pane window.
That's it.
The good old La Quinta Inns where the cracks go and flowing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
All right. I'm trying to get this visual.
Yeah. And so we knock on the door, and as soon as I see him let go of the curtain and start opening the door, I move to the other side of the door. And Steve starts talking to him, and it's like, hey, we're here to check on possible child molestation or whatever, and he's like, well, can we come in? And he's like, yeah. Well, I tell you, the world is very small, because when we walk in, I knew the guy standing there that I answered the door. And the reason I knew him from the jail. But what year did you get married in? Him on the spot.
86.
1986. This guy's dad, I think it was his adopted father, was a Methodist preacher over in Carthage. My dad's a Baptist preacher in Tyler.
Right.
Well, my dad and his dad married Wendall and Beth, 1986. Wow. But we didn't know that, And I said, hey, I called him by name. I said, what are you doing, man? His eyes were big as saucers. He's like, oh, Gardner, what's going on, man? I said, man, we're here to see what's going on. Try to find out how many people are in the room. There was a female laying on the bed. And then they said, well, we have a friend in the shower. She's getting a shower. It's like, all right. So I'm talking to one guy in front of me. Steve walks over, knocks on the door, says, hey, Tyler Police, I need you to come out. She said, give me a second. Let me get a robe on. So as Steve's walking back, he looks over and on a cadenza, and you can see meth, needles, spoons, everything just sitting there. And so Steve grabs the phone from the girl and hangs it up. As the other girl comes out, next thing I know, I hear pop, pop. It's just like these little white firecrackers that you get and you throw on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's how loud it was. It wasn't very loud at all. Well, there was a guy in the bathroom. So when she walked out, she pulled the door to. And Steve never opened the door to see if anybody's in there. If he did, he probably would have been shot right between the eyes. And so as Steve is walking back across from that guy came out and just started firing. And struck Steve in the back of the leg, came out the side of the leg. I think one round went into the bed. And he just made his way around. And like I said, you had the air conditioner under the window. Well, one hit that. One struck me in the chest. And then I got grazed in the forehead. Steve made it across the room, right, to the left of me. And then I got off 8 rounds. I hit him 6 out of 8 shots. And then he would run, the guy with a 45.
That's what we carried then.
Yeah. And so this guy runs across the room and starts pistol whipping Steve because he thought I was dead. He thought I went down.
Yeah.
And so he was over there pistol whipping Steve. Well, I see him. I can see the hands going up in the air, and I hear Steve screaming. And I jump up. Well, I drop my magazine, reload. I thought I did. And I go over there, and I grab him, and I never saw the guy's face. I don't know what he looked like. I knew he had a yellow shirt, and that was it. And so I grab him by his hair, and I'm trying to put my pistol through his kidneys. I'm hitting him as hard as I can. Well, actually, later on, I found out I dropped my pistol behind the door. It was empty, no more rounds. All my magazines are still on my belt. And I'm trying to put my fist through his kidneys. I'm punching him, and somehow the front door got open, and I pick him up, and I body slam him. Next thing I hear is pap, pap, and then I just hear 10 more rounds go off. Well, I thought he was shooting at me, so I'm trying to get behind a truck. But what it was is Steve drug himself to the door. It was propped up against the door, and he fired, the final rounds that stopped him. So basically, he bled out. And when they did the autopsy, the doctor said that he had enough meth in him to put a horse down.
Jesus.
So, and that all happened probably within less than 30, 45 seconds.
And the people that were in the room, what, as far as the prosecution aspect, I guess they just got charged with dope and bad guys dead, or?
No, they got charged with ag assault on a peace officer. They knew he was in there and didn't tell us. And so they charged him with it. And
They knew what his intention was.
yeah, because he told them, I forgot about that, but he told them, hey, before you let him in, I'm going to hide in the bathroom. He said, I'm going to kill him, because he had a parole warrant. And he said, I'm not going back to the pen. He said, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to get out of here. He didn't make it out.
And that's go ahead.
Sorry, that night I was off. I think that was on a Thursday night. And I was off. I was new on the streets. And had I been there that night, that would have been in my area that I worked. So it would have been possible that Clint and I would have been on that call together.
So fast forward about 20 years later,
Right.
and they call me. I was sergeant. Said, need to come over here. We got a guy in here that's wanted. And go to these crappy motel things, and it's the same old boy that he knew that answered the door to that motel room that night. 20 years, I know it's 20 years.
Yeah.
And he won't come to the door. And I have to go in there. We knock the door down, go in there, and I grab him and pull him out, and it's him. It's the same guy. And he was on parole the first time for murder, and then had gotten back out all those years later and violated that. So I had to go in there and get him.
Yeah.
Did he know? I mean, obviously he knew it was you. Did he have any conversation with you about knowing who you were?
No, he's too high.
Yeah. Yeah, when Clint got shot, I think Vic's the one that called me. I was working day shift. When that happened. So Vic calls me. And I think the first thing I asked was, is Clint okay? And he said, yes. And then I said, I think I said son of a gun. I may have said something else, but I said, is the other one dead? And Vic said, yeah, he is. I said, what hospital? He told me, and I went straight to the hospital. So when I got to the hospital, I go in and I see Clint, and he's bleeding from the chest. Like I see blood coming down, and I go, I thought his vest stopped it, but he had looked like a carpet burn from that bullet from his vest, because it stopped it. I mean, it was right over his heart, but he was bleeding down the side of his chest, and I thought he didn't get hurt, but obviously there was more to it. And then checked on Clint, went and checked on Steve. That was a mess that night too.
And that's what's amazing to me is you guys just continue to stick together. And I'm sure that y'all have had some family feuds, minor here and there with having so many kids and, that kind of stuff. But the bond between y'all, it's obvious. It's been obvious with Ken and his family. That's what's so remarkable to me. How do you guys not question the profession of going through traumatic incidences, just like both of you have?
Turn over to God. I did.
Yeah.
I learned how. Like I said, we were raised in a wonderful Christian home. Daddy was a Baptist preacher. And, I now I pray every morning, every night, thanking him for the safe day, because, you never know when your day's done here on earth.
Well, and we're going to segue into something else real quick. You were almost shot and killed in 97. Probably had more close calls along your career with different incidences, like we all have. We all had that hunch that, man, that could have been bad.
Yeah.
What year were you diagnosed and went through the battle?
Of
Your cancer.
Oh, cancer. I'm sorry. 2018.
Yeah, that little thing.
2018.
Yeah, I forgot that.
2018. We. Let me get back up real quick.
Yeah.
I always have to tell this part about my shooting. It's crazy because they asked for my mom, my wife's phone number, so I gave it to them. Well, evidently I gave them the wrong phone number, so they called my mom. My mom was so calm.
Really?
Oh, I'm telling you, if it wasn't for my mom, we probably would, she was calm for everything. Daddy just had quadruple bypass, like 2 years before, so his emotional system was way off. But they get hold of my mom and tell her, hey, there's been an incident. He's fine. He's on his way to the hospital, but we can't get hold of his wife. And so she's like, well, I'll call Renee. And so she calls my wife, and this is what she says. She says, Renee, said, Clint's been in a small accident, and but he's okay. Renee's like, okay, well, was it a car wreck? Well, no, but he's okay. He's on the way to the hospital. She said, well, do I need some clothes to stay over? She said, you might. She said, but you don't have to come down if you don't want to. And then finally Renee says, well, what happened? She goes, well, Clint was shot, but he's okay. Now, if my dad would have answered, he would have fallen apart, but mom answered the phone and she did that. But when Renee gets to the hospital, I'm sitting there and it's a couple hours later. It's like 1 or 2 in the morning, but the time didn't seem like it was that long. So I'm sitting there talking to Renee. I said, hey, Renee. I said, what time is it? She looks at her watch. Her watch stopped the time I got shot. I am not kidding. It was a brand new watch. It wasn't even a year old. And she looks at her watch and she's like, oh my God. She said, my watch stopped. And then she shows me the watch. It was about the time I got shot.
You still got that watch?
Still got to watch it. It's in a scrapbook.
Yeah, you need to tattoo that on your chest.
So, it just gives me chills every time I think about it. But back to my cancer, my youngest son played in the Dixie League World Series. We were over in North Carolina and stopped at South Carolina, went to the beach, got home, started having an earache. I thought I was having an earache, just hurting. Went to the doctor. He's like, yeah, it looks a little red. I'll give you some medicine. And a week or so later, it's getting worse. He says, well, no, it looks like it's cleared up. I said, my head is killing me. So I'm taking Tylenol. It's not doing anything. So he gives me hydrocodone for the pain. Well, that's not doing anything for it. So he says, let me send you to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. I go there and she runs tubes up my nose and everything. She's like, everything's clear. She said, but I got a question. Do you feel your heartbeat in your head? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, we need to get a MRI of your head. And they found a golf ball sized tumor in my head. And then just a couple of weeks later, the tumor had grown large enough to affect my vision. So I had double vision. So I had to wear an eye patch, for nearly 9 months.
I called him patches. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was called a few things probably, but when they sent me to a doctor here to remove, or in Tyler to remove the tumor, well, he didn't have the team to do it, so they sent me to UT Southwest
in Dallas.
Yep. Let me just say, UT Southwest is top notch,
remarkable.
You do not wait for a thing. I have a wonderful doctor up there, Dr. Anderson, and all the nurses. You go in there and he'll ask you, hey, how are you feeling? I said, well, my right leg's hurt. He's like, we need to make sure you don't have a blood clot. He pick up the phone. Okay, going over there, gonna do a scan. So I never waited. So they went in to do the brain surgery. Two, don't listen to them. I know what they're thinking. They didn't find anything, but
they found a tumor apparently.
They found the tumor, but they didn't find a brain evidently. But they said it had grown too large where they couldn't remove it. So I did 10 rounds of radiation to shrink it, and then I had to go in and they did 6 bone marrow biopsies in a year, and those are painful. And then I had a stem cell transplant, and now I've had chemo. I've been doing chemo since 2018. I do it once a month now.
Really?
I'm back and forth to Dallas and do my chemo on Fridays and go back up to work Saturday.
Well, I know at that time, you and I communicated whenever you were in Dallas, just to kind of, that's one of the beautiful things about TMPA is that when situations like that happen, we lean on our members and lean on the community support to support us, right? To basically support those who protect Texas. And talk about the environment of this law enforcement profession that leaned on you and your family and helped you guys out whenever you were going through all that.
Oh yeah, I tell you, especially with our department, I ran out all my sick time, ran out all my vacation time because I was off. Like I said, for 9 months I couldn't see, but couldn't drive. So, and I was down. I was out of the office for nearly 6-8 months, and they finally let me come back. I sat in the office for a while, but like I said, I lost all my time. But the guys I worked with and the girls I worked with, they donated time, so I never missed a paycheck.
Yeah.
So they would work overtime, and instead of them taking the pay, they would donate it to me. And so I never missed a paycheck that whole time I was out. So people don't understand the tight group we have as law enforcement officer. Anytime anybody or their family's hurting, we try to step up and take care of them.
Yeah.
Department was really good during that time. There were several folks that organized fundraisers.
Oh yeah.
Not just through the department, but the community as well.
Yeah.
So they really showed great support. And Tyler, the city of Tyler has always been real supportive of our police department.
Well, and I'll echo on that. I think not just Tyler. I think the whole East Texas region, when all that defund stuff was going on here in Austin, and really across the country, East Texas didn't see that. East Texas saw more of a warmth, an inviting, kind of confirmation that they're not going to put up that kind of shit and that they support the cops. And that goes to little bitty gas station, clerks. You'd walk in uniform and you just feel it, right? It's a different, special place to be at. So what is the most special or memorable moment besides getting shot, when you guys were working together that you guys want to Probably a funny one. I can already tell you're laughing. Yeah.
Well, I'm laughing because I was the brunt of it. I'm not going to say.
What's the most memorable moment of you guys working together?
I was thinking about, a boy that was stealing the TVs out of the nursing home.
Oh yeah,
You remember that?
that's the one we stopped. That I'm gonna walk up. Yeah.
I got you. I remember
All three of y'all?
Yeah.
there were three of us.
Actually, me and Darrell were riding together that day, and we had a guy that was going in nursing home stealing all the TVs. Well, I think we got him stopped. Me and Darrell got him stopped, had him out of the car. Well, what had taken place earlier is
No. What had happened was
what happened was prior to this, several months before, me and Wendall were on a call where a burglary was happening at our appraisal district. Well, Wendell sees the guy running out the back door, and I'm up at the front. So Wendell chases me. Well, they fall off a 10-foot drop. Well, Wendell messed up his back. Well, I mean, he aged. I mean, he was not getting the treatment at the time that he needed. And man,
Workers' comp.
workers' comp.
Deal.
Yeah, that
And it aged him. I mean, he was getting around like he was probably in his 50s in, but he looked like he was in his 70s moving around.
Yeah.
So me and Darrell stopped this car, and we're out, and he's starting to look at us, and me and Darrell favor, and all of a sudden he's looking at our name tags. He's like, Gardner. He said, y'all brothers? I said, yeah. Well, Wendell comes walking up. He looks over at Wendell. He's like, is that y'all's pop? And I said, yeah, that's old pop.
it was fun riding together.
I can imagine.
I got to ride a couple times in the same car, not as much as they did. Darrell and Clint got to ride together quite a bit. Of course, when Wendell became a supervisor, he couldn't supervise any of us. So
Right. Change the dynamics. a little.
Yeah, we had to keep an eye on him, but we never did. So
Is there any of y'all's kids that are going to pursue this
No.
legacy? No. That was quickly answered.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't know if they've seen what we've gone through and how law enforcement's been treated. I don't know if that's it or what, but my kids did not show any interest.
No, I think it was when shooting, they found out about that, and they're like, no, don't want to go through that.
That's understandable. That's understandable. Well,
They've got real jobs.
Yeah.
All of our kids.
Yeah.
what would be the biggest thing that you guys would want the listener, viewer, watcher, warrior, whatever we want to call them today, to know about the Gardner family and y'all's continued dedication to serving the Tyler community?
Well, I think I don't. They can say what they want, but this is what I always tell my kids, and I think we do it too. Is you put God first in everything.
Yep.
I don't know. They may have something different, but I've told them that from the get go, and I think as far as us, we do that, and if you do that, everything else will fall into place.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Got to put God first, put your family, and then think about that job.
Yeah. Well,
you got to put, when you get off your shift, you have to leave it behind and go back to your family. And I worked midnights for years just so I could see my kids grow up, make their sporting events. Because if not, I was on second shift, so I never made any of that. But, you know, like I said, put God first. You know, raise your family in a good Christian home, or, you know, make sure they're in church, and then your family, and then leave your job at the job.
well, I'll say this, and I don't want to make this too emotional, but a couple of years ago, y'all suffered the loss of your mother. Years before that was your father. Man, as a father now, that's raising two kids, just two, not five.
Oh, they're six.
There was 6. It was true, 6. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a sister.
I'll just say this. I'm most certainly positive, and I'm sure that you guys know it, feel it, and understand it, that they were extremely proud of what you guys did, you know, until the day they died.
Yeah.
And the TMPA family's always respected and loved on Ken. And I can't even begin to thank you for y'all traveling down here and sharing your stories. So,
Well,
Appreciate it.
yeah, for sure.
enjoy it.
We do have some final questions, some hot topics. Hope you guys didn't study, and depending on how you guys answer this, I'm not sure if you all would be brothers after, because you got to answer it correctly.
Let's just see.
Yeah. What is your favorite? And we'll go in this order. Okay. What is your favorite cop movie or line from a cop movie? What's your favorite drink of choice whenever you're just hanging out at the house? And what's your absolute favorite police vehicle?
Who you want to start with?
We'll start over here. Yeah.
Cop movie.
What? I don't know.
Well,
What's your favorite drink of choice when you're just hanging at Dr. Pepper? And favorite cop car?
Oh, I guess the Tahoe.
Tahoes. Okay.
We'll just go with the old Die Hard movies.
Okay.
Favorite drink is going to be sweet tea, Coca-Cola, and my favorite cop car is the Dodge Charger.
Dodge Charger. Okay.
Favorite movie, Dirty Harry.
That's a good one.
you knew that.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Yeah.
And iced tea and Chevrolet Caprice.
Well, what'd you say?
Dodge Charger.
Dodge Charger.
Oh man,
That Caprice are right.
that
Raw inside of it.
that's Tyler's favorite car. That Chevy Caprice.
What's yours?
I like Police Academy.
That's a good one. I think you're the first person that's ever said that.
Well, work with a bunch of clowns,
Yeah.
and you see who you work with,
Or even have them in your family.
yeah, you have them in your family,
Yeah.
and
Hey,
Now that he says that, you can look around the department and find the ones.
yeah,
Oh,
Police
yeah.
Academy.
Yeah.
yeah. So you do that. Mine is probably sweet tea, and I got a new Tahoe. So I like the Tahoe.
Those Tahoes are nice.
Well, especially when you get older. Now, when I was younger, I liked the Caprice. Oh, the Crown Vics were horrible.
that's what that. Yeah, you're exactly
And
right.
I'm not,
You're exactly right, Tyler.
you used to have competition sometimes in the Charger, and my buddy had the Caprice.
Yeah.
I lost every time.
Y'all line them up at like industrial parks or something,
I
test them out.
It's time.
How long has it been?
Yeah, it's
Been a while.
It's been about 20 something years, but yeah, he blew me away. We were just going to dinner. But the Tahoes now, when you get older, you don't want to squat down to get anything, so it just slide in and slide out now.
I do get the sense because I've seen Tyler when I was out in East Texas. I moved there in 05, 06. And then obviously 2025 now, I moved in 2023. Tyler, to a certain extent, was kind of a small town and then kind of blew up. And it's more of it's not metro, right? When I'm not talking about the fact that it's comparable to Dallas. But it has become a very respectable, large city feel. Is that changed y'all's perspective as far as policing?
No, I still work the same area. I've been working for 26, 27 years.
That's cool.
And I stay away from all that new growth.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I was going back to that, East Texas is a special place. I'll kind of share just one little story. My first day on the job, and I won't repeat the game board's name. It was a department of 6 at Jefferson Police Department. Showed up at the jail. And keep in mind, this is my first city police job, right? I was a campus cop, but this is like I'm going out there kicking ass, taking names, and I couldn't sleep the night before. My uniform was all starched. I've got a brand new, I paid for a Glock 22 40 caliber. Game warden walks out. He says, "Man, that's a mighty fine pistol you got. It's a stock Glock. I mean, I didn't have night sights on it. And you know how we do? We kind of hip them. You throw that hip out there like you're kind of shaking your butt at them. And so he grabs the gun. He said, "Does it fire good?" And I said, "Yeah." This is outside the sheriff's office in downtown Jefferson, Texas, at about 7:30 at night.
Oh no!
He unloads a full magazine standing outside in the air, and then hands me back. He said, "Yeah, it does. It shoots pretty good." And I'm thinking, I'm getting paid $12 an hour at the time. I'm the one that had to buy the ammo for the situation. But yeah, East Texas is pretty cool. I do miss it at times, but like you and I talked before, I'm pretty happy where I'm at. But
Yeah.
guys, I can't thank y'all enough, man. It's a remarkable story to have 5 of y'all working for the same agency at one time, and some of y'all continue to serve there at Tyler Police Department. And Tyler Police Department's a special place. So
It is.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler.
yeah, for sure. Well, you guys take care, stay safe. God bless you, and as always, may God bless Texas.
Well.